What's up? We're gonna do some design documentation today. I don't know how long it'll take. We'll have to think, because there are some things that I don't want to tackle today. I'd rather just focus on two primary documents, mainly being hazards and the save and load system, at least at a high level, right? Enough to start developing them. Beyond that, I'm not sure if there's anything I want to jump into that is of significant priority, so this might be a bit of a shorter stream from like the development standpoint. We'll see how much time we have left, and if it's pretty significant, I was considering like trying hightail. Might do that because tomorrow I'm off, so you know there's no real point jumping into something bigger that I'm just going to forget for 3 days. How you doing, Coles Fox? How's it going? Seriously, how's it going? Considering everything. I'm tired today, and my right contact is being a dick. I don't know why. I think it's because I have this bright key light up here shining into my face. And I don't know, maybe it's doing some weird things to my right eye. Alright, just waiting to see how stuff goes. Hey, I'm glad you're safe. See those paid protesters in the US? No, which ones? I did not see. Hazards, the good news is we already have the hazards listed, we just need to write up what they are. Save and load, I kind of have a better idea of what we'll need to do regarding like checkpoints. Because the game will need to be, you know, if you quit the game, you need to load up and we need to figure out how that's going to happen. So that might be a bit of a longer think than the hazards. But we'll start with hazards. That'll be easiest. The free Maduro ones, they don't even know Spanish. Oh boy. Oh boy. How's development going? Development's going good. Going well. It is going well. Always work though, isn't it? Do we want to... We have some like other categories here. Yeah, I guess we could utilize those categories. I have not checked Hightail out. I was considering doing it today. It depends on how much time we get. If we end up with only like 2 to 3 hours left in the stream, I won't have time for it today. But if we get things done in 2 to 3 hours, then yeah, I can check it out. We need liquid oxygen. We might end up with more hazards as we develop. But I think for now this is perfectly okay. And we'll note here about falling just that there is no falling damage. As a platformer, falling is the damage, that is the punishment. You lost time, that's the sucky part. Hmm. I think I probably want to organize this. You know, I wonder if there's a way to do really good looking volumetric fog like CSGO 2 has. I'm trying to stay away from anything that could influence my opinion on it. I don't really know too much about Hytale. I mean, I knew about it back when, you know, it was originally for Minecraft. But then it was just one of those, we promise big thing never come, and then, oh, actually it did end up getting made. It's like, you know, there's so many stories of these big promises from like modding teams and from aspiring developers, and almost none of them ever come to fruition. So my natural inclination when I hear of these big promises is just to think that they will never happen. What happened to Coin Pusher Realms? We thought that the response to Coin Pusher Reloaded and what the market seemed to want did not align with the vision of Coin Pusher Realms. As much as I would have enjoyed something like that, I can also understand that the market research did not show that the majority of individuals wanted it. So it would have been very niche and likely would not have had a very high or even positive return on investment. So we canned it early. Oh, hey, you see this? Don't worry. Don't worry. I don't want to organize it like that. I'll just do heading 3s. Toxic, hallucinogenic. That's always a fun one to spell. Hallucinogenic, not hallucinogenic. Heat haze, smoke and fog. I just don't like this. I don't like this layout here. I'd almost prefer to have a breakup between sections like this. Too many lines though. Have any other contracts in the industry? I don't like pressing, but I could use some work. I mean, I have a lot of contacts in the industry. I'm just not sure if... It's hard to find people that are in immediate need of localization. Let's put it that way. We'll do it this way. One thing that I have, it's not a guarantee, but it can work, is to find, like go in like the Google Play Store, right? For if you have like an Android phone, I don't know what you have, and find games that you kind of like enjoy playing and that you wouldn't mind playing through entirely. And oftentimes on the Google Play Store page, they will have a developer contact. And if you notice that they don't have localization, or in this case Spanish, you can always reach out to them and make that offer directly through their email. It's not a guarantee, but I have had it work, so it's not a non-zero chance. And you'd often be looking for games that are like earlier in development, or might, you know, not the big ones, because the big ones are likely have already localization are the ones that are established for many, many years. But just keep looking, download them, check them out, and you know, yeah, I've had that work. I really hate Markdown sometimes. I don't know why. Markdown is really annoying to make visually appealing. That are making a furry not safe for work Candy Crush clone for Steam. If you're curious about making games, I recently loaded up Game Maker just out of curiosity to see, you know, what it looked like these days. And it has a lot of templates for some really simple games you can make. But I'll tell you what, like a not safe for work Candy Crush clone, you might think it's silly. That's essentially what Honey Pop is. I don't know if I can load up the page or if it has not safe for work stuff. I think the screenshots are safe. At least this one is. I mean, that's essentially what this game is, right? And this has 20,000 overwhelmingly positive reviews. But if you're looking to make something, I can definitely recommend Game Maker. I mean, this is free, and this, like I mentioned, this has a ton of already built templates that you don't need to know coding to work with. You can start with their visual scripting language. I think it's called like GD Visual Script. And that looks very similar to like Blueprints. And on top of that, you have a ton of support from this guy here, Kenny, who all of his assets here are free, 100% free. So I don't know if you're looking for like a little 2D desert shooter pack. You know, it's a whole bunch of assets for free. So if you have the ability, if you have the time, I would say definitely give it a shot, and you might be surprised with what you could make. My very first game that I made with Game Maker way back in the day was one where a little clown icon moved around the screen and bounced off the sides. And when you clicked him, you got a point, and then he spawned in a different area. That was it. All it was. I was thinking of this year finding some time and doing like a 2-week game jam to make a game in Game Maker. Because the last time I touched it, it looked, I don't know what it looked like. It looked like this. It's basically the last time I remember working on it. It was cool and all, but I haven't touched it in ages and ages and ages. Yeah, it's just peak. So it would be kind of fun just to load it up and see how much progress we can make in a couple weeks with me knowing pretty much nothing about it and not having touched it in ages. I pirated that version. That's amazing. Really funny. Solar radiation refers to the ablative damage that the player takes standing in direct. You should emphasize direct light from the sun. Technically, it's not the sun, but we'll just refer to it as the sun because that's what, you know. The only sun is our sun. We won't get scientific about it. And we should probably here in Ablative refer to the player resources, which is RLA9. If the player lacks any ablative, not ablation, ablative, then the damage goes directly to the player's health. I never had a chance to translate some not safe for work visual novels, but every plot was more outrageous than the previous one. There was one job I turned down early in my career. It was a free job, but it would have ended up being, I can't even tell you how much work it would have ended up being. It was pretty wild. I would have really liked to do it, but at the same time, it would have been touching, like, I would have had to, I think it was proofreading in English the item descriptions for like thousands of items in a game. And I was, just trying to get any sort of experience in the industry to put on my resume. But sometimes, it's just not. There are better uses of your time sometimes, especially if you're not being paid. Do we need like a picture to associate with solar radiation? I mean, I could say that it should work very similarly to that level in Mass Effect 3. I don't remember what planet it was on. It was the one where you get Tally back. Spoilers. Hold on. Wait. Is it 3 or 2? No, it's 100% 3. 100% 3. It's not Rannoch, is it?
You can't spell Microraptor games without gay, and boy, let me tell you, you are gay.
Oh. Yeah, take care, Cold Fox. Glad to know you're doing okay. How's it going, Suja? No, this is not. Rannoch is not the...
I'm gonna come.
Haystrom. It is Mass Effect 2. Okay. Right. Oh my god. Sorry about that. Yeah, honestly, this small little thing here is very usable. As a reference, works similarly to Planet of Haestrom, Planet Mission. From Mass Effect 2. Does not need to be so long. I don't know if it'll embed actually. Oh, that works. Why is it so big though? Video player configuration error. Oh, okay. What's the point of Markdown if Markdown doesn't work? Occasionally. Is it not 2 C's and 2 S's? Probably not. 1 S. Ooh. How's it going, Jim? And riding hippos. How you guys doing today? Morning. Happy Thursday. Occasionally. Occasionally. Some things that happen occasionally. Not everything. And not all the time, because then it wouldn't be occasionally. But occasionally. The sun will flare up. Much like my herpes. The sun will flare up and cause an increase in brightness. And is it a Dragon Ball? Yes, yes. Whatever you want it to be, it is. The sun will flare up and cause an increase in brightness and solar radiation damage. I feel like there's something else I need to mention here. This increases the amount of ablative damage occurs if the player has ablative, well as health damage when standing in direct light. What was I missing? What was I trying to think of? Oh, solar flares do not occur on a random... Actually, no. Do they occur on a random basis by default, or did we make that non-default? Okay, no, they are on by default. But can be set to non-random by a game difficulty options, although I'll just do a direct link there. Does it don't work on Linux? No, it does not. I think, I don't remember what's needed to make a build on Linux. I think I would need to have Unreal on Linux. So we do not have Linux. But I won't be making Linux builds for the moment because that would just add additional overhead. Seed being used to create specific determination. This seed affects both what am I trying to say here? The flare like starting point, the seed affects both flare starting times as well as the lighting side. There's a better way to say that. Oh, it's better. Shut up. I know, there's a better way I can say this. Being used to create... Let's just say non-randomized runs. Fuck it. Manual trigger flares or guaranteed timings. Yeah, we're not going to do manually triggered flares. That's fine. I've said everything I wanted to say here. Okay. Gases and volumes. Toxic gases. We could mention that all gases are meant to be volumetric areas within levels that either apply effects or exist with materials as means of obstructing the player in some way. Usually their view. Toxic gases clouds that deal damage directly to the player's health, bypassing ablative, of course. I don't know what else to say. I mean, I think it's kind of self-explanatory what a toxic gas cloud is. Hallucinogenic gases create how do I want to word this? Yes, it's a fart. Exactly, Lepus. 'Tis a fart. Cause the player to hallucinate. Platforms that don't exist in the world. And lack collision. This effect is timed, so the player really needs to wait out the effect if they are currently experiencing it. The player is actively standing in a hallucinogenic gas cloud. The effect is constantly reapplied to maximum duration. We will. I'd like an example of this somewhere. We're gonna make that next milestone. But the way that I see it is by activating certain data layers with these fake platforms, and when they are activated, we can simply remove their collision and apply either like an overlay material or some kind of, you know, do some tick in their material instance or whatever to make them like shimmer a bit or something. So we'll find a way to handle it. But they will be noticeable. Platforms that are fake. Platforms that are fake will have a material effect. Will help the player notice they look carefully enough. You will likely handle these platforms as a separate data layer in order to keep them separate from the rest of the level's intended real platforms. Shut up. Okay, heat haze. Heat haze is the effect. Actually, I only know heat haze is like what it looks like, but I've never really thought about what it is scientifically. Let's learn something today. It's an optical phenomenon in which light rays bend via refraction to produce a displaced image. Oh. Is it just because of the moisture in the air then? Light rays coming from a particular distant object all travel through nearly the same layers of air and are all refracted at about the same angle. Well, that's this one, heat haze. Convection causes the temperature of the air to vary, and the variation between the hot air at the surface of the road and the denser cool air above it causes a gradient in the refractive index of the air. Produces a blurred, shimmering effect. That's pretty cool. But we will have this. So it will be a an inconvenience to the player when looking at certain things, essentially. Nothing more. And I think that we can handle it in a way that the player, as they're moving, you know, we can minimize the effect around the player of the heat haze as they get closer, so it only really appears at distance, but not wherever the player is standing. Also, look at this cat. In the cup, dude. Whose photo is this? Who took some dumb meme photo of their cat bending through a glass? I love it. Intense heat. Making viewing longer distances a challenge for the player. As this is a purely visual effect meant to disturb only distant view from the player, we'll need to handle it in a way there's close to the player are not affected by the heat haze. Shut up. Okay, smoke and fog. Smoke and fog are purely visual hindrances. The player, as one might expect, I mean, it's fucking smoke. I can only say it would be nice to have volumetric. I don't know what that would look like. And if we could make something that is... I do have volumetric fog. I don't know if I have any, like, volumetric smoke. And I'm very curious how good it would look. Like, I have this. This is not really meant for smoke, you know? But maybe it could be used for smoke. It only really mentions fog. This is pretty cool. We could check it out. We could check it out. I think it would look pretty cool. I wonder how optimized it is. Use the render target, that would make sense. Writes that to a material. Second render target for restoring. Yeah, I think we could do it. I think it'd be pretty cool. And they have the project file too, which is pretty nice. I think Rex would enjoy looking at that. Solution, performance, and any issues, really. I'll just throw a link here. Okay, surface materials. We have ice, mud, molten rock, and metal. Although probably not with the molten rock, but... because it's like, if lava is instant death, what is lava? And I don't know, like, should molten metal be that way too, or should we... maybe if it's like thin enough? I don't know. Ice mud. Mud. Okay, Isu. Slippery been being walked on. Angle of surface does impact how the player slips. We do have that implemented. It is a little bit weird with the foot IK, so we need to figure out why that is. The good news is we're not going to have ice in the first level 6, but when it comes time to make level 5, we are going to have a lot of ice. So we need to have that solved before we make the next level. The good news is we're not going to be working on that next level for a while, because I don't want to build up the scope of the game while we are still determining whether or not what we have is fun. So it's going to be a while before we work on that. And I want to have level 6 at like vertical slice quality before we jump into level 5. That would be my thing. This surface slows the player down during their acceleration and jump height significantly. I think right now it doesn't impact maximum speed, though that is very easy to set up if we need to. I mean, it's mud. Everybody understands this. We could just say as like an overview that these are handled by physical material. All surface materials are handled by a physical material for extreme ease of use, as well as for ease of setup, well as runtime adjustment and creation. This also enables us to set up meshes with multiple material indices, each being able to support their own material, physical material. It's a really, really good way for us to do it. surface differs from lava in the sense that it should be shallow, dealing direct health damage to the player while they're standing in it. Also has the same properties as mud, slowing the player down and affecting properties like jump height. If too deep, we should essentially treat it like lava, instant death. Liquid oxygen. Stepping in liquid oxygen. I think we just made that instant death. It's basically just a different colored lava because it's so cold. We can always change that later, but I think we'll just treat it like this for now. Blue lava. Because it'll make for nice emissive colors. Touching lava is instant death. Simple as that. Don't need to get too crazy with that. Deal ablative damage to the player. They have ablative. And then direct damage player, direct health damage if the player lacks ablative. Radioactive materials such as radioactive like minerals radiate the damage from the source mesh. The closer the player is to this mesh, the higher the damage output. This should be accompanied by both visual and audible cues. Not syllable, I'll say. We don't know what that'll look like yet. I think there should probably be some radioactive materials in the bottom level. We're gonna be working on that next milestone. But I think it would be nice to have some there. Even if they're just very simple and they don't really... I'd rather the lava is the primary source of like death and damage in level 6. But introducing the player to like some radioactive crystals or something like that, some ore veins exposed. I think that that's just a nice way to show the player that there are these things that they might have to worry about. And then we can put them into play further on in the game. Probably in like level 5 or level 4, because I think yeah, we do have like the tungsten and silicate mining gallery here, the rare earth element mining gallery. It would probably work pretty well for this area. And we could always have some exposed veins in level 5 as well. We'll see. Or even some like that are spilled or broken from smelting and refining or in, you know, cryo storage. We'll see. Falling, we just really need to note the player will not take falling damage in Redlock at all. Falling itself is a punishment. If we want some VFX for the reactive foam, saving player from falling, we can do that. TBD. Okay, anything that we missed here? No. It looks good to me. Very high level first draft, it looks good to me. Alright, my contacts are bugging me today. Pretty sure I changed them recently too. Maybe not. I don't know about you guys, if you guys wear contacts or not. I think you're supposed to change your contacts like every 2 weeks. I tend to keep them for like a month to save money. Although there are some daily contacts. I don't wear dailies though. I think they are cheaper though, if you do dailies. Alright, we need to write up a document on saving and loading, like just checkpoints as a whole. Should we put all those in the same? I think we should put those on the same. Save load checkpoint. Oh my god, just go in the right place. That's annoying. Okay, we can put that in the production plan now. That is RLA27. Beautiful. Okay, this one will be a very important document to write, and we need to cover all of our bases here. We need to, I don't know if we need to specify every little exact info of what needs to be saved, but I would like to cover.
Daddy.
Where is the sniff? No sniff today? You okay, Dramos? The hell? Misclicked. Bro. You might as well just wake up and start your whole day over. How you doing? Oh.
Daddy.
There it is. That's what we like to see. I like how I've just arbitrarily given all these different costs too. Maybe I should make a specific channel point redeem called the Dramulk Special that just combines these 3 sound effects. Would you prefer that? You want the Dramulk Special? That would be easier, okay. I hate it. I'll do it. Yeah, saving and loading. I think, you know, to be fair, I think our game is pretty easy to save and load from. I don't really know how it works with world partition. We know we need to save. Okay, let's just do this. Happens at checkpoints. Quitting warns about time, location since last save. We're not gonna do like, you know, it'll be checkpoints. We'll see how people feel about that with regards to like in early access. But this is meant to be a bit of a more challenging game, and I don't think having exit saves would be the right move. But we will have checkpoints. We will have checkpoints. We will have... They can be turned off if you want a more hardcore experience, though. Let's just say game stats. Built. Well, hold on, there's 2 separate things here. There's some things that need to be persistent. What we save, which is non-persistent. Well, that's not the right word to use here. It's more like, what do we save that can get... or that is not reset on death. Ugh. Things that we need to save separately, like if you change game options, right? Obviously, we shouldn't restore that on death. You're doing great. What's up? So we need things that are saved and not loaded or not reloaded on death. Let's say this is reloaded on death. You're doing good? That's good to hear. I'm doing okay too. A little bit tired today, but could be worse. Could be worse. Probably just the weather, you know. Cold and gray. Usual winter. Do we want to say they collected neurotags? Also, thanks for the follow. Hit that. And welcome. Let's see, for the sake of it, at least for now, let's say like collected neurotags and audio logs. If you die, you do not have to collect them again. because these are more like optional lore things. May I ask what the docs are about? You absolutely can ask, and they are about our game. So in this case, today I wrote about just the high-level design about hazards that we have in the game and what they do. Although I'm not really a big fan of the organization because I hate Markdown. And I'm writing about saving and loading and checkpoints, which is a very important one to write about. And we've already written stuff about like player resources and restoration of resources, optional stuff, game modes, difficulty options. But I need to write about saving and loading. Built restoration stations. Yeah, this is kind of my bread and butter. I'm a game designer by trade, so this is where I feel at home. Not the most exciting for a live stream, I think, but it has to be done. You probably also mention the emergency station. Let's say optional objective status, and this will include emergency station airlocks, as well as repairable, fixable facilities. Never write ducks, but it's something that saves a lot of time down the road. So I think if you're like working in a super small team or solo, I don't think docs are 100% necessary. But they're necessary. I still recommend doing them for designers and teams, just because if you're working on a game for like 2 years, no way are you going to remember everything, right? And it's nice just to have that centralized area where you can go back to information that you wrote a year ago and be like, that's right, that's why we implemented it this way, or that's exactly the reason, that's how it's going to help the player, or something like that. But it's really good for if you are onboarding people. So if you expect to have a team and you're onboarding that team member, you can have them, you can have those documents ready, available to look at, to search through, especially if it's going to impact their work. On top of like just game design documentation like that, you might also have technical design documents or level design documents. So like a set of standards that the level designers use when building levels, or things to not do, things to do. And then technical design docs can be great too, because you might have solutions that you have come to internally or solving some specific technical demands, and you want to document that for posterity. I guess I'm thinking of open sourcing my current project, so it would be necessary. I think so. I mean, I think I have never open sourced anything, so don't take my word as, I'll never take anybody's word as gospel, to be honest. But I think that most of these open source projects do have like some internal wiki, right? Or through like GitHub. I think GitHub supports wikis. I know they have a README, but I think they also have like some wiki in some way. It's pretty cool. Sorry, I talk fast. I'm like XQC. Optional objective status. Is there anything else we're missing that we need to save? I bet I am missing something. I suppose we can save like any level specific persistence or persistent data. I don't really have any examples of that right now, but there might be like some buttons you can turn on to open like a door, and we need to save that information between runs, or between loads, I should say, not runs. We probably also need to save not game stats, but also game mode options. There's a Git book. Oh, I didn't know that's what it called. Yeah, take care. It was nice meeting you too. Good luck on your open source project. Ooh, collected upgrades. Yeah, upgrades probably need to be saved. And those will be reloaded. Upgrades and... well, those kind of include abilities, but we'll say upgrades abilities. Happens at checkpoints. Radial static locations. Save when player is in proximity. We would also need to mention that checkpoints can be turned off as a game option, on by default. Not the same as emergency station elevator. Option enum to allow teleporting between checkpoints. Off by default. I want to allow players to... I want there to be 3 options. So you can always teleport between unlocked checkpoints. That's not the default. The default is off, so there's no teleporting between checkpoints. But I also want one where allowed after beating the game. For people that want to explore, to look around, to collect more audio logs and neuro tags. We don't want those to be missable. So, I mean, that'll be a really important part of level design too. So we'll make that an option for people that want to... Maybe not off by default, but we'll say allowable on game finish is default setting. I like that idea. You beat the game. Take a look around if you want, or you can start a new game. Up to you. But those are not the same as emergency station elevators, which is there will be harder, optional, challenging sections where you can turn on the emergency station airlock for that level, which also enables the emergency station elevator to be used between adjacent levels. Loading into the game occurs only at checkpoints. Well, we say loading into the game or reloading after death. Option to reload from last checkpoint in escape menu, I think would be a nice thing to have. We'll say for checkpoints too that if certain things like stats, like player stats, Resources. Change while in proximity of a checkpoint. We automatically trigger a resave. Although I want to make note of which ones will. Specific persistent data. I mean, I don't think that some of these would be in the like proximity of a checkpoint, but I think, you know, better safe than sorry, just in case. If it never gets triggered, then it doesn't matter, but if it does happen, we'd want to be prepared for it. I don't think game stats, because that would be more like playtime, and I don't think the playtime going up should trigger a resave, in my opinion. We should also say that these are... Do we want to say that neurotags and audio logs are persistent between each run? Because there might be some speedrunners that might find it fun to make like a all neurotags speedrun, right? So if we keep those persistently collected between runs, I think what we need is just some way to reset neurotags and audio logs so that you have to collect them again. I don't know about that. The reset's easy. The reset is easy. That's just clearing an array in the save game, right? Just easy. If we make it a game difficulty option, just, you know, a game option, right? It's not specifically about difficulty, but more like gameplay option. When starting a new game, like spawn neurotags, spawn already collected neurotags off by default. I like that idea better. We can do both. We can do the reset and we can do the option. Hold on. Add to game difficulty options. Ability to spawn already collected neurotags and audio logs, separate options. That'll be easy to check. And we can always differentiate on like a little pop-up like new audio log collected versus audio log collected, or some like indicator that you already had that one. But I think that'll give more options to different categories for speedruns. What's the speedrunning website where they like track that? Speedrun.com? This challenges. Can we see like Skyrim? I'm curious how they show like categories. Yeah, there's like main quest, glitchless main quest, guilds, Civil War, marriage. That's pretty cool. DLCs. I like that a lot. I should reach out to people who are, you know, really well versed with this speedruns like this, and just get a really, really good, I need to like interview one of them or multiple and just get information about what they need, what they're looking for, how can we enable them as best as we can. Damn, it even tracks down to milliseconds. That's crazy. This is a precision platformer game. You can see some different run types here. Keep that in my mind at all times. Like, how can we enable that for people who want it? Okay, star equals will trigger resave if in proximity of a checkpoint. We should also say quitting while in proximity of checkpoint triggers resave. This might end up getting changed, I'm gonna say. But we'll see what happens. I'm thinking if there's like some, you know, people who want to do like an, you know, collect all neurotags run of the game. And we save that. That's persistence. So even if you die or quit, we save that you've collected that. Then the meta would be to, if you can die, to go back to a checkpoint to do so. That might be okay. That might be fun. But maybe not. So I don't know. We'll figure it out. We need feedback on that. We need feedback. Okay, player transform, game mode, looks good, 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 good. All good stuff, loaded, radio, options. I think I'm ready to write it up. I think we're good to go. And we'll add these after we write up the document. And if we finish at a pretty good time today, I might play Hightail. I might try it. We'll see. I don't know how much it costs. What do we want to talk about first? Saving, loading, or checkpoint? Probably checkpoints. Teleportation. Triggering resave. Okay, checkpoints are points in the level which we trigger a save for the player. These are easily visible. Wait, didn't we need to write about player death too? What was that? Did you guys hear that? Something just hit my window. What the hell? Hold on. Big old chunk of ice. That scared me, dude. I felt like a bird hit the window or something. That's just it. It's warming up here, so big piece of ice fell. That was wild. Yeah, it's below freezing for a few days, and now it's slightly above freezing. Hope we won't be jump scared like that again. Oh, death conditions design doc is meant for the next milestone, okay. That'll be important. I might move that up to this milestone, but honestly, we'll see. We might need it in this milestone, since we are going to be adding hazards, and we've already started to implement basic death handling. We'll need a better way to, yeah, I might move that up. But for now, these are easily visible, locations, and we should also say these are easily visible, unmissable locations on the main pathway that check for the player Entering and within their proximity. Why doesn't it like within proximity may be too wordy? Are you serious? Too wordy. Shut the fuck up. Trying to dumb down the reader. Oh, I mean, okay, in fairness, when writing a design document, you don't want to use super complex language. I agree with this, but I don't think within their proximity is too complex. If I was using some made-up bullshit language, sure, I could see a need to change that, but I don't think within their proximity is too complex. We should also say that these are static too. Easily visible, static, unmissable locations. The player does not need to build these. Should we have checkpoints as a gameplay option as a whole? Like, okay, so here's the reason why I might not make a separate gameplay option for checkpoints, like just as a whole, of should they be enabled or not. The end result of a checkpointless run is to basically do the game without failure. Well, yeah, but that's not the same as hardcore, because hardcore is permadeath. You might not want permadeath. You might still want no checkpoints. Alright, I'll say that there will be a separate option for checkpoints. I concede. What was the default value for teleportation? Allowable in game finish. Controlled via a game difficulty option. The player will be able to teleport between unlocked checkpoints. This is instantaneous. A fun word to spell. Instantaneous and does not cost any resources. Well, instantaneous. Well, we can say that because, of course, it assumes that there's loading times, right? But realistically, there shouldn't be significant loading times. I don't think there was anything else we need to mention about teleportation, right? Not really. We should mention that these are not the same as emergency station elevators. Checkpoints also differ from emergency station elevators. We should mention that in RLA 20. Those allow for seamless travel between unlocked levels in a lore-friendly way with an associated time and challenge. Checkpoint teleportation, more of a checkpoint teleportation detailed below is specifically a difficulty option that can bypass the time and challenge restrictions. Yeah, that works. Oh, I already had an option to enable disable checkpoints. Never mind. I did have that written down. God, I have such a good memory. There are two scenarios in which we can re-trigger a save, both requiring the player be in proximity of the checkpoint. The first scenario is quitting. If the player is standing within range of a checkpoint, or maybe we should reuse the word proximity here. In proximity of a checkpoint, we trigger a resave. Should be noted in the quit option. Via a pop-up or clear text signaling. The second scenario is a change to certain saved information. How do I want to word this? Let's say the following. The following information to the player world, if changed within proximity of a checkpoint, will automatically trigger a resave without needing player intervention. You know what I just forgot to? We need to save solar flare status. Can't forget that. That one will not trigger a resave, of course. Or maybe it will. If we don't do it, Okay, so here's how it works behind the scenes with the solar flares. As we have a seed that is randomly generated on a run, right? That's with random solar flares turned on. Because of that, we could determine the timings for solar flares. And we can easily check if the player should be in a solar flare. We would still need to save solar flare seed and status. You just put it down. Fuck it. Well, I guess solar flare seed differs from solar flare status because solar flare seed does not change during runtime. Status does. We'll figure that out. Gotta love documentation. I think we do want to, if solar flare status does, I think we should re-trigger save. I think we should re-trigger save. I do. I don't want the player to quit and reload just to bypass hitting a solar flare, but it might be that we don't need this if we have a check and reactivation of the solar flares. We'll see. What are you doing up at this time, Mom? Call yourself an adult. I'm going to bed at like 10 p.m. Here you are up at like 2 a.m. Horribly immature. Is this how you're going to act when you have kids one day? Wait. It's 3 a.m. Oh yeah. 7-hour difference, right? Not 8. So you woke up briefly and your first thought is, hey, let's turn on the stream and see how... Let's see this super interesting design documentation that's being written. Oh, I know why you turned it on. It's because it's so boring to watch that it'll put you back to sleep. That makes sense. Nope, I get it now. Player inventory resources. Build restoration stations. I guess we should mention that no, I won't note solar flare status because I think that we can extrapolate when that should happen based on the player's time being updated. There's no way that the player should be able to avoid that because we're already using a seed to determine when a solar flare happens. That shouldn't be needed. But I'm going to word these in a different way. This is like player inventory resources. An update. Update to. and building restoration stations. What am I working on? Design documentation for checkpoints, saving, and loading. It is some technical information, but we need to know what we save, when we save, how we save, how we load the player back into the game. I think it's one of those things that players often don't consider when they're playing a game, but is really important. Optional objective status updates. This will be for ESAs, repairable, fixable, facilities. Get me down as a sub? Not currently, no, you're just a VIP. You're a very important person. Without you, these streams wouldn't exist. Can you believe that? It's because I wouldn't be born. Any level specific persistent. Yeah, persistent. That's not how you spell persistent. Getting updated. Button, status, door, open, close, etc. Yeah, this is for a new game called the Redlock. Upgradability obtaining. Yeah. I thought I told you about Redlock. Maybe I didn't. Well, I don't know if there's anything else we need to mention in checkpoints. I think we can move on to saving and loading. Loading should be a fast one. Saving can be its own. We mainly just need to break it up into things that are persistent between runs. Or don't get reloaded. We already kind of mentioned that quitting in proximity of checkpoint triggers resave, but I can reiterate that in the save section. Not a big deal. Let's do it. Just do it. You can try some of the new channel point redeems. You might like them. You might find them pretty funny. Tell you about the new game? I swear I told you about Redlock. I can read it out though. It'll help put you to sleep. Okay, this is the backstory, right? Because it's very lore driven. On the tidally locked exoplanet of LHS 3844b, mining colony Redlock searches for rare earth elements used in fusion drives. Hosted by a flaring red dwarf star, the planet experiences extreme solar radiation and unprotected meteorite bombardments. You are the safety supervisor overseeing the expansion of the structure deeper towards the mantle where the rarest, heaviest metals can be found. The carefully planned construction of the geothermal power and mantle extraction level is interrupted when a mining-induced rock burst collapses a critical part of the structure. When the dust settles, you miraculously find yourself on your back, alive, your exosuit having saved your life by dispensing reactive foam. Your mining friends and colleagues have been crushed, and nearly all levels of the structure are experiencing failures of some kind. Evacuation orders have surely been sent out, but your communication devices have all been destroyed by the fall. Nearly 3 kilometers of unstable platforms and lethal hazards are between you and your rescue. So it's a precision platformer, hard game. Jump a lot, die a lot, get angry, smash your keyboard. Try again. We also need a section for what we save. Assistant. Not reloaded. And we can just quickly reiterate, like, hey, when does saving occur? I'll put that up at the top, though. Alright, I'll end it with a question mark, you stupid auto check. Fuck you. I mean, we already have, I made a, you shouldn't play this, you would not be good at this game. But we made a playable build of the game. It is just the level blockout. But it is playable. For people that want to. Look at how simple it looks. This is what's known as a level blockout. So you make this to determine the level design. And whether or not the design is fun before actually putting in the final artwork. It's a very fast, quick way to get early feedback on... Ooh, I almost fell there. And whether or not what you made is fun. Because you don't want to waste time putting all the cool looking artwork and lighting in a level, only to find out that it was actually horrible and unenjoyable all along. Yeah, you wouldn't play this game. This would be a game that you would watch, but not play yourself. Definitely not. We have some pretty cool sections. Some really cool lore being written about it. I think it's pretty exciting. With the intention of getting this to early access by Q3, Q4, but most likely it'll be Q1 2027 due to the release of GTA 6. And my lack of desire to release this over the holidays or anywhere near GTA 6. Yeah, it should be an easy watch. There'll be some really cool lore and artwork. I think it'll make it just very easy to enjoy. It's not complex to understand. There aren't many controls. You just jump, climb, and move. This is kind of the more boring section of the levels, though. It's just the caves, because you're at the bottom where the mining rock burst occurred. Then you start to move up towards the geothermal power plants. That's where this one's going to be, so there's a lot of lava here. And some initial structure, architecture of the facility. Lots of platforming to do in here to get across to the other side. Repair the geothermal power generators. Not fall in lava like I just did there, like an idiot. A lot of difficult jumps, but a lot of ways for speedrunners too to save time. You have to use your imagination to fill in the art gaps at the moment. Yeah, a lot of platforming. And it's pretty hardcore. You know, if you fall anywhere in here, you get sent back to the start of this area. So you could lose a good 15 minutes of progress. Depends on how fast you are, though. How many times you lose. But it should take most people an average of like 30 to 60 minutes to beat this this whole gameplay that we built out. I think that's a pretty good amount of time. But we have a lot to add, a lot of mechanics to add, such as resources, solar radiation, hazards, like hallucinogenic gases, cryo spills, all the good stuff. Better camera angles when climbing in small areas. The one that I really want to add. Well, it's specifically called a precision platformer. But you can imagine this as any platforming game. You know, think of like the side-scrolling Toe Jam and Earl game. Right, that was a platforming game. But a precision platformer is all about being precise. Although I would say that most platformers are about being precise. But these are kind of a bit more hardcore, a bit more challenging than your average platformer, with often very harsh penalties for falling and failing. In this case, if I fall here, I have to go all the way back to there again and do all this over again. But we've added some more casual friendly options for people that don't like to lose that much progress if they want a bit of an easier experience. Things like checkpoints help a lot. Usually these games don't have checkpoints like that. Don't fall in the lava. But the lava is primarily going to be relegated to this area of the game, because it's just so far down. But the rest of the facility has been built up, and there will be hazards of different kinds up there, like liquid oxygen spills, hallucinogenic gases that'll make you hallucinate platforms that don't exist. Toxic gases, radioactive materials. Solar radiation damage when you get exposed to the sunlight. It'll be for PC initially. I think we can probably get a port done, but ports will cost money and take time. So we will first develop it for early access on Steam, and then probably work with some Polish porting companies if we need to develop console ports. At the very least for PlayStation and Xbox. We'll have to see what performance is like for Switch 2. But the game should be fully playable on handheld if we can get it running at a good frame rate. The ultimate goal is to escape. get out of this hell-forsaken planet and facility. This takes place on a very real planet in our galaxy. Yeah, your goal is to escape the facility and get all the way up to the top of it. But it's like a 2.5 to 3 kilometer climb. So it's a pretty long way to go. You're climbing your own Mount Everest of destroyed facility. But the higher you are, the farther you can fall. I mean, you've been watching me climb through this area for this, you know, the last few minutes. If I were to accidentally fall off of this crystal, land in the lava, we have to do this whole place over again. There's a lot of, you know, tenseness and worry of making sure that you land your jumps. You don't get too complacent. You have to be careful, fast, precise. Because some of these, like these platforms here, will disappear after a certain number of seconds. There's no falling damage, but that is lava. Yeah, it's meant to be lava. We will make it look like lava later, but for now we just needed a simple way to mimic what that looks like. I think I can make that jump. Ooh. That was risky. I did not have to do that. Yeah, you do have infinite lives, but you will have to start over at the checkpoints if you die. So, you know, as you get closer and closer to the end of the level, that's more that you'll have to complete if you fail. But there's no, you know, the game doesn't like end if you die too many times. Not by default, at least. You just gotta try again. Hopefully that won't happen, though. Yep, these platforms disappear if you step on them for too long. You can watch them go from green to red, and then they poof away. They'll respawn after a while, but of course if you're standing on one as it disappears, you will fall into the lava. And if you fall into the lava, do it again. Just don't die this time. There's no stream tomorrow, Freds. Today there is. Friday there is not. Because I'm going to be in here writing lore. Yeah. That's the game. My mom was asking what the game was. I actually only stream for her, so if anybody else is watching, you have to quit the stream. It's not meant for you. Bye-bye. Okay, when does saving occur? Saving occurs at checkpoints. Automatically when the player is within proximity or triggers the resave. Yeah, I mean this genre is not new. There are games that have existed in this genre for a long time. You know, and I think they're all really cool. They often have, you know, really cool art styles or interesting movement mechanics. None of them have ever really explored having like you know, being lore driven. And I think we want to do that to stand out compared to the others in this genre. There's a lot of precision platformers, but not a lot have gone into these deep, interesting lore facilities. This one does have a little bit. This one too, some fun stuff. But these are many years old, and people who like these games are often looking for something new. Wouldn't say Tomb Raider is a precision platformer, but some weird categories here. Yeah, fun stuff. This White Knuckle one looks pretty cool, but it's very much like a parkour game. And we're not trying to make like a parkour game. Saving does not naturally occur on exiting the game, but will trigger resave if the player exits while in proximity of a checkpoint. Alright, that covers those. Then we can say, what do we save? It's a working list of things we save that will get reloaded on death. Very simply, just so we can spot any red flags or missing information. Player transform. Ratchet and Clank is similar, yeah. Ratchet and Clank is a bit of a precision platformer, though it's more casual friendly. But it is driven by its lore. It has some cool puzzles and boss fights. We won't have any like fights or anything like that. But yeah, there's a lot of like older arcade titles and series that that people might classify these days as precision platformers. Same with like Mario. And even to some extent Sonic, yes. Game stats. Solar flare status. Player inventory and resources. Built. Restoration stations. Optional objective status is any level specific persistent data, upgrades, and abilities. Nothing too crazy. Although I think that the level specific persistent data is going to be the more challenging one, because I don't really have a way to save persistent data with data layers. Though there appears to be a way to do it native, but it's I think it's a beta or experimental feature in Unreal. But we'll have to check that out. What we save as persistent not reloaded? This is a working list of things that are saved but are not reloaded upon death or game reload. I don't know if that's worded correctly. It's more just like are not reloaded upon death. Maybe not game reload, but like let's say like level reload. Collected neurotags. Collected audio logs. Solar flare seed. It is possible that speedrunners might make a category or challenge out of collecting neurotags/logs. So we might want well, I'm not gonna put that there. Because we mentioned that we would have the difficulty option to spawn already collected ones. So I just don't think that we need to. We'll save it regardless. And we'll put those options in. That should be fine. Yeah, that's good. Oh, loading. I need loading. We're not done yet. But loading is fast. Oops. Don't do that. Yeah, we should be able to call this weekend. Yeah, I should be able to. As saving only occurs at checkpoints, the reloading will place player at their last saved checkpoint. There will also be a persistent option available to the player to reload from their last save checkpoint. This option only shows up if the player has checkpoints enabled, and if the player is not playing with the hardcore RLA 14 enabled. Okay, that looks good. We don't really need to mention anything more than that, but I will separate that just for the sake of ease of looking. This raises one question, which I will mention. But you guys have to enjoy the music for a second because I have to go to the bathroom. But otherwise that looks good, and we can add in these difficulty options to that list. Okay, give me 1 second. Oh, fuck. Okay. Difficulty options. We need to add 2. Yes, we need to add 2. Okay. Or 3. Right? For checkpoints? Oh, no. It is 2. The other one is for the reset button for progress on neurotags and audio log. Just 2 options. That's easy. Checkpoints. This one is default on. Enables checkpoints in the game, allowing for saving and reloading from specified areas throughout the facility. Would be cool to have a cosmetic for completing the game with it off. I mean, these would just be in-game cosmetics, right? No microtransactions of any kind, obviously. But we can do cosmetics easily, like a cape or something that shows up on your exosuit. That's fun. Reward for being hardcore. That wasn't meant to have any like specific. Oh no, it is 3 options. We need one for teleportation too. Checkpoint teleportation. And this would have 3 states. Off, on, allowable on game finish. Allowable on game finish is the default. This enables the usage of teleporting between unlocked checkpoints. How's it going? See, spawn. You don't want to say anything bad in front of my mom. You could do it. My parents are not traditional parents. If I were to jokingly call my mom a bitch, she would call me a dick. Those are the kinds of parents I have. If set to allowable on game finish, the player can teleport only after beating the game. If set to off, player can never use the teleportation feature. Set to on, player can use the teleportation feature at any time to teleport between unlocked checkpoints. One of those old hippies bikers? No, she's not a biker, but they're just, I don't know, they're relaxed, they're chill. Yeah, Bex tried prototype, got stuck at lava river with swimming platforms. Got stuck at the river, like got stuck in like a bad way, or just had trouble with it. Reach first island, small island with narrow path to tall island. Not sure where to go next. Jumping on platforms funny. Hold on. Okay, show me. Let me load it up and you can show me where. Okay, trouble with no bugs. Okay. Give me 1 second. But thank you for trying it, and thank you for reporting feedback about it. Spawn already collected. Should this be two separate? Yeah, it is. It should be separate options. Should be C spawn. Okay, small island with narrow path to tall island. Okay, so you mean this one, right? Were you able to get up to the top of here? And it was the difficulty was knowing where to go after this, right? So when this platform disappears, it will spawn one here that you're meant to jump to. But of course, if you stay standing, you'll get knocked off. So you're meant to crouch. And then this one comes right next to it, although I think it's a bit too fast, if you ask me. And that will take you down here. Now, you used to be able to see that from up here. I wonder if you still can. It's not as easy as it used to be. Like, I don't want to angle the player too far over because then they could jump up here and onto the platforms. We don't want that. But at the same time, I want the player to be able to watch the patterns. Well, I suppose you can kind of watch it from up here too. Second platform misleaded you. Try to jump on it at spawn. The one that spawns over here, or a different one. Oh, the last one, the one that kind of curves in, right? Where does that one spawn specifically? That one I don't like, that last one. Not only does it come in way too fast. Okay, you try to jump from here. Let me see where it spawns. I wonder if you can make it, if you can make that jump. Oh, you can. You actually can. really fast, but you could make it. I didn't notice I put it so close. God, it moves so fast though. No, you just discovered a time skip. That's a tough one though. There are 2 pathways down here though. I can see why it would be misleading though. I mean, you're meant to watch the patterns. The patterns repeat. Oopsies. But I'll get some more feedback on this. Because there's nothing preventing you from just standing up here and watching. I mean, they're meant to be failed repeatedly, but also that doesn't mean that telegraphing should be bad. It's not an excuse for bad level design. I think that is doable, but it's definitely not the intended way. I don't mind leaving that in as a time skip. Exactly the way it is. But the intended jump is from here to here, then the crouch. We'll see if other people have the same issue though, and if numerous people do have the same issue, then we can take a look at addressing it. It's early enough in the level that I don't mind that existing the way it is, because it's easy to repeat this section. But I do appreciate the feedback. We'll just keep an eye out for it. Meters instead of yards. Well, okay, so Unreal Engine default works off of centimeters and meters. Like just like the bare cube that you spawn is a 1 meter cubed primitive. So it's best to do it that way because everything runs off of metric in Unreal. Except for getting to Lava River. Was there any other part that seemed like really tough? I kind of think this jump is too tough, but it's also right at the start of the level, so you know, you got a checkpoint there. Camera can be a bit of an asshole some places. Meters the yard equivalent? Yards and feet are imperial. Meter is metric. Jump with blocking column. Would you be able to point out... Was it this one? This jump? I'm not going to change that. I do like that. I knew exactly what I was building when I put this here. I have to do a little bit of air control. No, it's a good test because I think air control is like a really, really big part of the game. So having something like that is good to have here. It could be nicer if we put some more air control section maybe earlier in like this level, in a place where it would be safe to fail. Like I could see this being an air control necessary jump as being kind of interesting, and that way you can just practice here and not have to worry about dying. Not really any air control necessary here. We don't have coyote time. That would be too easy. We're considering that as an optional thing though. Probably turned off by default. Well, we don't want to help the player too much. Otherwise it's too easy. Learning to jump on time I think is core to that. But we might make it an option that you can turn on. It wouldn't nullify any achievements or anything. Already been collected. I don't know if we need any notes for this. Lift was buggy. Which one? This one? Buggy? What was it doing? Was falling just before reaching top. It should wait on the top. It just waits there. Maybe you had it like an old version? So only last time. Really? Really? Yeah, I'd love to see the recording. I mean, there can be some inconsistencies between build and in editor, so that's not unheard of. I guess if I posted it in Discord, yeah, you would have downloaded the latest one. There shouldn't be an issue with it being like an older build. Second jump from very start. You're not the only one that's difficult for. I imagine you mean this one here. Yeah, I know about that one. I might keep that in just as a different one? First column to first platform. You mean from the crystals? Hold on. Hold on. I'll do it this way. Tell me which numbers. From which numbers to which number? 4 to 3. Oh, this is a time skip. This is meant for like speedrunners. Yeah, you can skip that. This is the kind of the intended route. That saves time, but is only necessary if you're doing speedruns. I mean, it's worthwhile to get good at stuff like that because that trains you for later jumps, of course, that are much harder. But there are often some alternate routes that you can take that are a bit easier in some cases. Let's go test this lift. Maybe there's a bug in the build. Shouldn't be. Were you running at 60 FPS or were you having any problems maintaining the frame rate by chance? I'm stable. Because that might impact. I have to double check how I determine whether or not we need to wait. It seems like it's working fine for me. But I'm glad you got the recording, because then I can take a look. See if we can make a more robust way for doing the wait on start and end. I have a suspicion of why it might be this way. Especially since you said it happened like 5 times in a row. Very odd. Yeah, I can't recreate that. I don't know. Yeah, I can't recreate that. Differentiation for pop-up / notification for that are new to collection versus ones already collected. Or we can put the same thing down here. Okay. And then I need to add the information in the optional objectives document about the reset button for progress on neurotext and audio. Easy. And these 4 things to our game modes. Some part that's been annoying when I first have to use the crouch. Part of the obstacle when there's a 20 centimeter drop in the game autumn. I know exactly which one. Yeah, yep. That one's also kind of pissing me off. For the exact same reason. That's better. Much cleaner. Yeah, it wasn't really intended. We were still kind of learning about the good placement of stuff. Oh, I think I deleted it, saved in intermediate, so it reset my version control settings. Why did I keep it there? Because I just didn't change it, but I just changed it now, so it's all good now. Or would be if... Okay, this... Yeah, I just forgot to change it, but it's all good now. All done. The thought process was that this was the first time we were developing a level for this game, and I was actively working on figuring out the best placement and usages of our platforms and our character movement controller, and that was one of the first platforms that we had made, so it was just not as well thought out as the later ones. Really what it comes down to. The thought process was that this is fine, we'll see how it plays in the grand scheme of things. And I don't like that the player has to stand up. And so I then changed it just now. There's no deeper conspiracy behind it. It's just a janky part of the level that we shouldn't have there and now does not exist. I should note, hold on, let me go back to this a sec, because I have to note that If checkpoints are turned off, then checkpoint teleportation is disabled. If set to off, the checkpoint teleportation setting is disabled. Barely. There we go. Spawn already collected Neurotech. Spawn already audio logs. On allowable after game finish. Off. Oops. This is dark side. Do we change anything for dark side? I don't think so. For speedrunning, not really. Same setup. It'd be cool if we could allow for custom game modes. Which I don't imagine would be difficult to do because you would just save the name of it and the setup of your settings, and it should be very easy. So for like people doing specific challenge runs, they could just make a game mode with their challenge run, and if they ever just need to like reset, they could just keep enabling it. We'll consider that. We'll consider that. Okay, did I include everything that we needed to include? No. No, I did not. In the main menu, the player can optionally, with confirmation, reset their entire neurotag collection. Forces all of them to spawn again with a necessity to collect them again. This is what they call a GDD? No. No, a GDD is usually a singular document covering the high to medium level of the entire game. Not just the design, but also some technical information, information about like what the game is at its core, art direction. And they're usually much larger. Depends on game, of course, but some games you can get up to hundreds of pages for a GDD. And they're often all-encompassing. Depending on studio, you might see some studios forego a GDD because they are annoying to maintain. They're supposed to be living documents. And they would just go with smaller design documentation, but think about being able to adjust camera distance to the scroll wheel. I'm not against it, but first we need a camera that is in a better place than centered on the player's ass, I think. I would rather see it go from like the player's ass. If you scroll in, it would go up to like the shoulder or something. I don't know. But I'm not against it. What these are just like smaller design documentation for specific focused features or pieces of information that often would get a little bit lower level than you would see in a GDD. Like a GDD might contain some of this information, but it might not contain like resetting or like if there's like a sound that pops up when you collect a neurotag, you know, that would be low level. You wouldn't put that in a GDD. Okay, those look good. Yeah, certain quality of life, like being able to adjust camera distance, might make it in before release. For sure, I want to have a different camera for early access release. Something that automatically changes to over the shoulder for close proximity to walls. And one that doesn't jitter when you are like climbing up. I know why it happens, but we just need to fix why. Very obnoxious. Yeah, I think we covered everything for saving and loading. Wasn't as bad as it could be. I'm happy we have it. We're building out some really good game and difficulty options too, that I hope players will enjoy. Except for those two weirdos that are going to tell me that you added difficulty options because you couldn't design the game properly. Gotta love it. Did I hear options? Games should be playable with one difficulty in mind, because that's the vision of the designer, of the developers. I think you can do either. Now this looks good. We'll need to touch endings. But having hazards written out, very good. We will probably move the death conditions up to this first milestone. Although it's not really crucial. One thing at a time. Well, we finished up pretty early. Do you guys want to check out Haito? What do we feel like doing today? I don't want to jump into anything too big until Monday. Like the world partition and data layer stuff. We don't really have anything else to address with the blackout at the moment. We're still waiting for more feedback. What's going on? You have to buy a hightail through their website, right? Purchase now for immediate access. It is Thursday. Yeah, I'm off tomorrow because I have to write lore for the game. And I find that a little bit easier to do without stream, unfortunately. It's just easier for me to focus and like Google things and put my entire brain into thinking. We did make a proper, well, we made a bare bones lift. We need to make a proper one, but I'm not going to. They're good enough right now. Yeah, stream is nice, but it is hard to focus on certain things during the streams. We learned that with Golden Chronicles, and I should have done this. I should have done this with Golden Chronicles, which was take days off to do certain things. Heroes 3? I'm not very good at Heroes. And this just came out, and I'm very curious about it. I don't know what comes with these, though. Sets, I don't need those. Competitive Heroes, the competitive strategy games are pretty fun to watch. I really like watching Heroes or Age of Empires. Pretty cheap game, actually. Like 20 bucks. Is the price cheaper, though, if I connect into US? I don't know if it's calculating VAT tax or something into this. It is calculating VAT tax into it. Okay, I'll buy it with I'll buy it through US VPN then. Alright, give me a sec. I think I need to make an account. Background music is from Heroes, yeah. Heroes 3. Taking a long time for the VPN to go through, though. From one of the cities, Town Rampart, this one's called. I don't know which town specifically that is. You have to confirm that it's me. Yes, it's me. Press the number. Let me get my credit card out. You guys can't see the numbers, though. Those are my numbers. Hashtag Polish our prices. I don't think they're fucking around with the price because it's Poland. I think it's just VAT tax. 23% tax. They do that for like the Fab store too if you're buying stuff on Fab. I always make sure to use my US card for that. They only have to pay a 5% state tax on digital goods versus 23% VAT tax. You're not logged in or your account is not confirmed yet. Okay, let me confirm my account. I don't see the confirmation email. go to spam maybe? No. It just takes like time to show up. If so many people buying it. I'll wait for that to show up. Wait for that to show up. Not showing up yet. I'm wondering if we should merge this into main. I did do a lot of bullshit. I don't know if I want to merge that into main. But it wouldn't be terribly difficult to undo certain things. It might be better long term to merge the changes that we made instead of cherry picking. I'll just merge it to main, fuck it. That'll work. It's not sending me this confirmation. I logged in through Google. Is that like maybe not something I should do? Should I make it like a regular account? Age verification. $69. I am human. Getting started. I would like to receive news. I have agreed. Confirm. Oh, you know what? You had to click on account for them to send it. That was a little bit confusing. Here, I'll end the recording though.